Right, so what I'm going to do in this example, three very basic web pages. Only two am I going to put styles into, and one will just display variables from PHP. All right. So what I want to do here is first let's click on create a new workspace. Okay. And we'll give it the project name now. We called it what, didn't we? Okay, so what project? And a description, a short example of mixing PHP and HTML. Okay. Now, don't worry about the workspace. Don't worry about the hosted stuff, private. Just leave it public. All right, it's not an assessment, so it's fine. But the one I want you to choose is PHP Apache. Okay. Make sure you choose that. That's crucial. So, what project? A short example of mixing PHP and HTML and PHP Apache. And then create the workspace. Okay, that'll take a wee second. Okay, so let's. What we're going to do is get one page absolutely as we want it, and we will get. And then we'll clone that to make the second page. We'll stick a form on the second page, and then the form should take us to the third page. Right. The first page, and what I'm going to do is go to File and go to New from Template. All right. And choose choose PHP file. Now, in PHP can take HTML absolutely fine. Okay. So you'll see that it's already got the PHP tag set up for you, but just press enter a couple of times and get some space. And go up to the top of the document and put in doc type HTML, and then put in HTML underneath that. Okay, in between we're going to have the head tag. And we'll have title. And we'll call it what. Okay. So, again, I've talked about the daft example. Underneath the head must come there. Okay. So, I'm not going to concern myself too much with columns in this one, or placement of files. I'm going to make it all horizontal. I'm not going to use a box model either. So the first thing I'm going to put is div id equals, and we'll just call this header, okay? And in there, I will put h1 and what, like that. Now, I try and teach you good coding. So at line 10 on mine, you'll see there that it's the end of the header. So I'm just going to put in a wee comment, -- end of header. This example shouldn't get too complex, but it's good to have it there. Underneath the header, I'm just going to put in the nav. So I'll just put in nav as a tag. Okay. And inside the nav, I'm going to have an unordered list. And inside the unordered list, I'm going to have two list items. So I'll say list item. Like that. Okay. Now in here, I'm going to do this in a one-off because we've done a bit of HTML now, so you should be okay with it. So I'm just going to say href equals, and we're going to make this a link to index.php. So href equals index.php. And I'll just put in home. Okay. Next line, I'll have another list item, ahref equals, and I'll call this one contact.php. Like that. Okay. So, sorry, I should write in contact there as well, shouldn't I? Like that. So what I'm going to do now is underneath the nav section, I'll make another div. I'll just say div id equals main. I'll call it, alright? And in there, I'll just put in a paragraph that says welcome to what? And last, I'll have div id equals footer. And in that, I'll have a paragraph that says this is the footer. Okay. Okay, so I think at this point it's a good time to save my work. So I'm just going to go file, save as, and you have to call index.php. Alright, index.php. Okay, and what I should then be able to do is click on run project and preview running application, and you'll see it looks like that. Okay, not very spectacular. That'll do us just now, isn't it? Right, so very basic, very simple, and it's unstyled. Now I'm in two minds here whether to show you the second page without the styles first. Let's muck about the styles, all right? Okay, what I'm going to do then in this file is I'm going to set up the link to the style sheet that we haven't created yet. Okay, and we'll do the styles after we've done all the HTML for the document. So, the link to the style sheet. What's the code for it? Can anyone remember? Any ideas? Anyone? So you go up into the head of the document, right, and you'll see a link. Href equals. Now, I'm going to make a folder called styles. So I want to put in styles slash, and I'll just call it michael.css. Okay. You put your name in here. Rel equals style sheet and type equals text slash CSS. Okay, and then close that off like so. There we go. Right. So as I say, that this won't have any effect on it at the moment, okay? Because we've not made the folder or the style sheet yet. So what I'm going to do now, no, slash CSS. All right. For the type slash, sorry, text slash CSS. Yeah. Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do here, this is index.php. I'm going to save that. I'm going to take out that wee PHP tag down at the bottom. All right. This is just an HTML page. Save that. And then what I'm going to do is go to File and Save As. So the second page I said was going to be all form, didn't I? Oh, did I? I can't remember. Contact, sorry. So I'm going to save as contact.php. Now, at this point, we're now working on the contact page. Do you all see that? Up there it says contact.php now. Okay. So the only thing I'm going to change in here is this bit of code that says welcome to what. Okay, so make sure it says contact.php up there. Alright. And then get welcome to what. And I'm going to take that out and I'm going to say forum name equals. And we'll just call it contact. Okay. No, just contact. And we'll call, we'll say method equals post and action equals, I'll just call this display.php, alright? Okay. So in here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have two pieces of information in here. It'll be a name and an email address. Now, if you think back to the last module, we did stuff like this. So I'll say input type equals text, and I'll say name equals name box. I'll say required. Okay. And I'll say also after required, I'm going to say placeholder equals type name, type your name. Okay. Next one, I'll have input type equals email, name equals email box, required, space placeholder equals email address. And what's the last thing we need in a form in order to make it go? We're not going to bother with passwords or anything in this example, alright? I just want you to see. So what's the last thing we need? What do you need if you want to put a light on? Switch. We need a button here. Okay. So input type equals, now it's going to be a very particular type because we want this to send the form. And what we want to do is say input type equals submit, value equals submit. Now what this does is the submit button looks at the form, right? And it looks to what the action is, and it means that it takes you to display.php. But first it'll look and see if there's anything required on the form. So it means that you can't get away with submitting nothing here. Does that make sense? So it tries to submit as long as all the details have been met in it. So I will then go to file and save. Okay. And what we should have is we should have a form that looks like that. And we should be able to navigate between the two pages when we refresh it now. Yes. Good. Okay, so there's one thing I want to do now, and that's put the style sheet in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click in the folder that says what project up in the very top left of the screen, and I'm going to go to new folder, and I'm going to call that folder styles. Okay. And right click on the folder you've just made, styles, and go to new file. And we'll call it Michael. Or you call it what you want. I'll call it Michael.css, okay? As long as it matches up with that. And then press enter once you've named it. Right. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to double click on Michael.css and it will open it up. And obviously there's nothing in it. Now, just to see if this is working, I'm going to say body, open my curly brackets, and I'm just going to say background dash color, and I'll just say FF0000 and save that. So what should happen here, I refresh the page, it should go red like that. And both those pages should now be red. Okay, so that means I know that the style sheet has worked for between the different documents. If you're not getting any joy with it, what you can do is use the pop-out button and then do Control and F5, and that might kick it through if it's giving you any grief. Okay. Right, so I've got this various sections. Now I don't want that to be, I'm just going to take that tag back out for the time being. Right, so I've got a few sections here. I have got my header section, haven't I? Yeah. I've got, now that should be a hash header because it's an ID. I've got a nav section which you can just sit as it is. And I've got the footer. That should be hash footer as well. No, they're swallowns. They're just saying there's nothing in them yet, which is true. Right, we'll see you in a wee second. You definitely got your link right? Right, okay, so what we'll do then, we'll try to make a nice font in this document. We'll see if this works. So I want to have a nice font for my header, but I want to have a different font for all the text in it as well. So what I'm going to do is go to Google Fonts. Okay. Okay. So get a font that you like. Okay, I'm going to go for Railway. All right. And I'm going to click. So once you've got the font that you want, click on the plus. And then go down to the bottom. It says one family selected. Okay. And I'm going to use the import button. Click on import. And then just that middle line out of the import, we don't need the style tags because we're using external. So I'm just going to copy that line of code. Okay, and go back and paste it in there, into the body. Okay, so it's sitting in there. In fact, sorry. Cut that out of there. Put that above the body. My mistake. In there. That's won't like it. And also, let's see what font I want. So I want to use that in the body. So I'm going to take that line of code there, copy that, and paste that in the body. Okay. And save it. And you should see that you get your font in place. Okay. Now, I want a slightly different font for my header. So let's see what I can get. So I'm just going to use something a bit different. I'll use, I used that last week, didn't I? It's a font called Anton. We'll use that, eh? Use a font called Anton because he christened the brand what when he didn't listen to what I said. Right, so what I'm going to do here is clicking the plus again. Now I'm going to make that a bit bigger, okay, so I can stretch that. Clicking the plus, clicking the families. Now you'll see here, because I've got two fonts, Google can do that in one line for you. So I'm just going to get that line there, the import, and import it over the top of that one. So I've now got two fonts. Right. And then all I need to do is get the Anton font down here, and I will paste that in the header. And if I save that now and refresh it, that font changes, and that font is also the one you wanted. Okay, you can use as many Google fonts as you want. The only thing I would say is just watch that if you use millions or hundreds, you can slow your page down a wee bit, but not this at this point. It wouldn't be an issue. Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do here, let me see what I've got. Okay. So in the header, I'm going to say text dash align center. And you'll see that jumps right into the middle. Okay. What I also want is font dash size. I'm going to say 3 EM. Okay, the printer's measurement. Alright, that kind of bulks that up a bit. EM, and EM is a 1/6 of an inch in terms of printer's measurements. Alright. I want to change the background colour of the header, right? In my mind, this is going to be a black background. And you'll see that if I do 000, save it, the font looks like it's disappeared, but it is still there. Alright. And if I want to change my colour, I'll change my colour to white. Oops. And it should turn it inside out like that. Okay. What's that? Okay, I'll come and see you. And what I'm also going to say is body, and I'll put margin 0. You'll see now it goes the full length of the page, no wee gaps at the side. Okay, so we've got a bit of space up here as well. So if I go and I'll put in padding as well. Okay. You'll see that there's absolutely nothing now between the border and the writing, but we can fix that. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mess about with the header H1. So I'm going to make a new style underneath there, and I'll just say hash header H1, and that only applies to the H1 in the header section of the document. And again, I'll say padding dash. I'll just say padding 0. Okay. I'm just. Yes. I'm taking away what it's all. I go. The margin. But I took the margin down. Margin. In H1. Okay. See, this is why you should do it with notes, right? There we go, right up the top. Okay, so that sticks it right up to the top. I'm glad you fell for my deliberate mistake there, Carl. Right, so we put header H1, and by doing the header and H1 in the same selector, it only applies. It means if you make another H1 somewhere else in the site, it won't be affected unless it's in header tag. All right. Okay, so the nav is the next thing I want to deal with, right? So this one's a wee bit more involved. Now, as I say, I'm teaching you to a higher level you need to be at. All right. So let's muck about with the nav. So I'm going to say background color. What do we go for? Nah, it's too magenta. Let's try to think. Like go a kind of goldy background or still a kind of grey background, yeah. We can change it, right? Oh. Nah, right, I'll go. That's quite a dark grey, all right, or a light grey. Sorry. If I refresh that, you'll see it's kind of, well, let's call it silver, right? That's bright purple, isn't it? Okay, so there's my background colour for the nav. Okay. Now, what I'm going to also do here is I'm going to say border. In fact, will I do that? No, I'll leave that just now. Usually I put a border on this just to be separator, but I've got to see in the assessment, you've got to use a horizontal rule tag. So I'll put that in later on, okay? Okay. There's a shorthand way. So say we're doing a border, I'll show you very briefly, I'll take it out. I'll do border, and there's a shorthand way of doing it. You can do 3 in 1, right? So I can say 3 pixels for width. I could say, we'll go for magenta to keep you happy. FF00FF. And then you can say what style it is, and I'll just say solid. So if I refresh that, you'll see now it's got the border around it. Alright. I'll take it out. You can also say border dash top, and that just sticks it onto the top of it. Like that. Okay. Leave that in. Do you like it? Yeah, leave it in. Okay. Right, so what I want to do is get this looking a wee bit better in terms of a horizontal menu. So you're all aware about we're inside the nav, but what I want to do is just affect the unordered list inside the nav, because if I do this without putting nav first, then any list on the page would be affected by it, which isn't what we want. So I want to take the kind of list element off it, so I'll say list dash style dash type is none. Okay, I'll do a wee refresh each time. Okay, that takes the bullet points away. And then I'm going to say margin is 0 and padding is 0. And overflow is hidden. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay, so it's right tight up at the top left now. Okay. Now, remember last week we talked about floating things to the left? So I want to by default float this to the left as well. So I'll say I'm going li float left. Okay, and that brings them up. You'll see there that sticks them up together. Okay. So I want to give this a bit of space to breathe. So these are anchor links inside list items, yes? So I'll say li space a, and that's the anchor link inside the list item. You with me? A wee bit. Right. what we're doing is we're styling any anchors that are inside list items. If we look at our page, that is an anchor inside a list item, and that's why it's styling it like that. Okay. Right, so let's look, we can do this. Let's display it as a block. That gives it a kind of rectangle feel to it. I'll change the colour. I'll go for white. And I'll go text dash align center, and again that gives it a wee bit of room to breathe on both sides. We'll do padding. I'll go 10 pixels, 15 pixels. That's 10 at the top and the bottom, 15 on the left and the right. You can muck about with that. And text decoration, text dash decoration, none. That takes the underline off it. Okay. And now that looks alright, doesn't it? A wee bit vague, a wee bit white maybe, a wee bit too. Right. So you can muck about, make that a darker background to the text. So what I can do is go up to my nav and just change it to 999. Oops. Okay, that's not bad. Alright. So next thing I want to do is when the mouse excuse me, when the mouse rolls over it, we want to have some form of change of colour. So I'm just going to say LI A. So list item, so that anchor that is hovered over that is inside the list item. Do you follow the logic of that? Right. Well, what we'll do then is we'll say the background colour. We go for magenta again. FF00 FF. And you'll see that it goes pink. I'm going to go over. What's that? You can choose any colour you want, alright? I'm just going with the crowd here. What? Yeah, yeah. Yes. The nav, so what I did, I put the border on it, but also I put a no margin on the heading 1. Try that. Okay. No, right. Now, this is okay, but you'll see it's stuck to the left-hand side, which I don't really want. So what I'm going to do here is that's inside the, I can't even remember, the main, wasn't it? Was it main? Yeah, it was main. So I'll say hash main. Now I've put 10 pixels of padding at the top and the bottom and 15 left and right. So I'll say padding 15 pixels for the main. Okay, you'll see that now lines up with that nicely, yeah. Yes. Welcome to what is with the home, it's stuck there, yeah. Okay. And the footer as well, I want to do that with the footer. So I'll just make, oops. Okay. Just copy that in there as well. Now with the footer, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the footer black in colour. So I'll say background dash colour 000, and I'll make the writing white. Okay, what's that? Black. So, what you'll notice though, it looks quite sandwiched together, doesn't it? That's not really it's not a big problem because it's only because we've not got much content in. When people add more content into this page, it should just give spring down. Now, hopefully, fingers crossed, if you click on your contact link, you'll see now that the second page should be styled as well. Alright. Yes. Mhm. So I've noticed in this that when I click my contact page, I'm getting nothing in this box. So that means I've made a mistake somewhere, okay? So I'm going to go back and look at my forum, and you'll see there I've said placeholder, not placeholder. Okay. And now if I refresh it, you'll see email addresses in there. All right. Okay. Now, again, this isn't something I would usually, I wouldn't usually use a table for this, but for this assessment we need to use a table. So again, bear with me here, right? Inside the form, so that's just kind of done with the styles, right? Hopefully you see how you can work with them. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a table into this form. So go into contact.php, alright? And mine is line 18, it's got form name equals contact, blah blah, alright? Take a new line underneath that, and I'm going to put in a table. Now, this is where it gets a wee bit annoying because it tries to finish your tags off for you, but bear with me. So I'm going to put in table and then press enter twice. Now, this table is going to have 2 columns and 3 rows. So I'm going to say tr. You'll notice it does that for you. And tr again. And tr again. Okay. In the first row of the table, I'm going to put in td. And then td again. In fact, do you know, if you're being clever, which I wasn't being, I'm just going to copy this. So it's a table row, and it's got 2 cells in it. That's really what we'll got there. And I'll delete those other 2 rows, alright? So that's what your table should look like. Okay? And what I'm going to do is, see that table row tag, copy it, take a new line, paste, take a new line, paste. And that's a table with 3 rows in it now. The tr starts the row, the /tr ends the row. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take in the first box, I'm going to say email. Sorry, change that name. Sorry. Name. The first box of the second row, I'll say email. And then what I'm going to do is my name box row, I'm just going to take that and cut it. And paste it into my second cell like that. Okay. And my email box, we'll take that and cut it. Put it into my second row and second cell like that. And my submit button, I'll take that and cut it. And I'll paste it into the second box of this third row. And that's what your table looks like. So we'll see what this looks like. I'll save it and refresh it. And it looks like that. Okay. Tables are very footery. Alright. Quite awkward to use. So I've tried to keep it as simple as I possibly can. Just makes I'd made a typo in the second one. I called it holder rather than holder. So just make sure you've got your placeholder right. Okay, let's have a wee look at page. Now, I'm going to try a wee experiment with this, right? I'm going to try and stick the footer to the bottom of the page. Okay. So, in order to do that, I'm going to go back into a CSS. And what I'll do with my footer, inside my footer tag, I'm just going to say position. Absolute. And I'll say bottom 0. Okay. Okay, I saved it. What I did then, as I said, width 100%. And that should stick the footer to the bottom of the page. Looks a wee bit better, doesn't it? Looks a wee bit better like that. Right. Okay, so I'll stop this here, and I'll put this up as a wee video. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at putting some PHP onto it. All right. Now